This is DJ 745 for World of Reggae here with a reggae ambassador of Asia who has been tearing up charts in Malaysia with his fusion of reggae, pop and world music. Sasi the Don, welcome to the UK.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on World of Reggae. It's a huge privilege, you know. I've been a great fan and been following World of Reggae for a long time.
Okay.
You know, and being able to be on an interview World Reggae, it's a big respect. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I mean, I think one of the things that we like to do is to really introduce our viewers to music from all four corners of the globe, because the world is a very big place, but with the powers of things like the internet, we almost get closer and closer together.
Yes, definitely. I mean, the world is small. I mean, end of the day, you know, it's all about network, and you know, it's how you create your network and who are the people that you create relationship with. And I think, yes, the internet has definitely brought us together. You know, nowadays, you know, you learn so much from the internet, and it's you just can't imagine the amount of opportunities, you know, you can garner for yourself just because of the internet. You know, and I think this has changed a lot of people's life, and it's good. You know, technology is good, technology is bad, but for reggae music, it's definitely good. Absolutely.
Now, I know that you've just flown in from Malaysia, and you're here in the UK for around about a week, I think, right? So this is going to be like kind of like a whirlwind tour of the UK, but you're not a stranger. This is not your first time, is it?
No, it's not my first time. I've been to the UK. This is my fourth time. Okay. I've traveled a bit in the last couple of years to do a show. I worked on a couple of collaborations here in the UK, and then this time around I had one purpose, which is to promote my new single, and not just that, but actually to also introduce my music as a whole. You know, it's because I believe that at some point I need to accept the fact, yes, I can be big in Malaysia, but when it comes to the world, Malaysia is still considered small. But you got to put yourself on the map, right? So that's what I'm doing for myself, which is to actually introduce my music, my form of reggae to the world, you know, to to a large audience out there, especially via World Reggae, of course. You know, it's definitely, yes.
I mean, me, myself, I don't know that much about the reggae scene in Malaysia. So enlighten us, tell the viewers now, what is the reggae scene like in Malaysia?
Actually, the reggae scene, there has been a very strong reggae scene in Malaysia since the 80s. You know, there's a huge music industry in Malaysia, because if you compare where Malaysia is situated, we are in the north of Singapore, south of Thailand. We're right in the middle between both these countries. Thailand has got a great music industry. Malaysia has got a great music industry. Singapore is okay. Indonesia is big. Now, when you see all these countries, it's just not Malaysia alone. Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, they all have a strong reggae movement. Now, in Malaysia, as I said, in the 80s, there were a couple of acts that actually started, you know, reggae, because I wouldn't say that Bob Marley was the big influence to Malaysia, but it was more of the acts that came out in the 90s, like Inner Circle, you know, Chakademus and Pliers, Apache Indian, Shaggy, Inika Maze. So all these artists kind of like they just came in with a storm, you know, in the 90s, late 80s, Maxi Priest especially. So ever since then, I mean, we all know that reggae is they would say like a very unpopular genre in the world. You know, people want to focus more on R&B and hip hop, but I think it's people like us who go, the musicians like us and promoters like you know, platforms like yourself, like your good self, is what takes reggae music out. So when I started reggae in the early 2000s, there were many acts that have already started with reggae music before that, but the thing is that they just did it for the local market. Okay. So when I came about making my form of reggae music, I kind of told myself that, okay, I can't do this. Yes, well, I started off saying that, okay, this is of course for Malaysia, but as I moved on, I felt that there is more than that. So the reggae scene in Malaysia is as big. I can tell you, there are 6 reggae clubs in the whole of Malaysia, right? Owned by 2 people. I mean, they own this different bars and restaurants and hotels. There's even a reggae hotel in Kuala Lumpur.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Wow.
Okay, there's a reggae hotel, there's a reggae rooftop bar, there's 2 reggae bar in Kuala Lumpur. So over the years, of course, everybody realized that Bob Marley is the father of reggae music, you know, and as how Southeast Asia is a summer country, it's summer all the time there, all right, with all the beach and island. Every island you go to Malaysia has a Bob Marley movement.
Right.
You know, you see the red, yellow, green, you see his pictures, you see people wearing Bob Marley t-shirts and flashing it around. And in my time right now, as I'm one of the artists in Malaysia, there are other acts like Salam Music, you know, and he makes Malay reggae, so he sings in Malay, very good. And then there's Gerhana's Kacinta. So it's interesting to see how different artists put a different step forward with their reggae music. You know, they always have their own style, they have their own touch and concept to it. Like even right now as we speak in Borneo, in Sabah, where Borneo is, there's even an artist coming up, and she's a female girl, artist. With dreads. Okay. You know, she's new, and we kind of like just discovered her, and her name is Farah, so she is like kind of like also emerging now. So I believe that where Malaysia is setting example in Southeast Asia, I'm glad that I'm able to actually take reggae, my reggae music from Malaysia and share it with the world. So actually it's big, it's very big, reggae in my part of the world. Yeah.
I think one of the things that I sort of learned is that obviously by listening to some of the songs that you've produced and written, it's almost like there's like an Eastern influence to the sort of the raw roots of Jamaica, right? Yeah.
Well, if you listen to my reggae music, I mean, I grew up listening to reggae. I mean, the first cassette that I bought in the 90s was definitely reggae music. And then from there, I kind of moved forward with listening to so many different artists. When I started listening reggae, I never had the thought that I would be a singer one day. You know, I just did it because I was passionate. It was like a hobby, and I just moved forward. When I had the opportunity to record my first song, you know, my first album, I wouldn't say much that it was a reggae album, but I think it was just like trying and seeing how this is going to work. But when I recorded this song called Anbe, which is a Tamil track, and it's a Tamil English reggae song, and that song is evergreen right now in Malaysia. You know, it's been there for 17 years, and the radio station still play it. Wow. Now, so what I done with my reggae music is that I wanted to have my own identity, you know, because I listen to so many artists who come out from Germany, Jamaica, you know, Holland. What's his name? Ziggy. Ziggy, yeah. Yeah, you know, he's a good friend of mine. I've met him before, you know, and we hanged out in Amsterdam. Like, I realized that everybody has got their own identity. Now, if I come from Asia, I don't want to be seen. If somebody from Jamaica listens to my music, or even like your good self, or even like Diana, I don't want people to feel like, oh, listen to this music, or just like another guy trying to be a Jamaican. You know? Yeah,
I hear that. I mean, you know, I mean, like artists like Albarossi from Italy. Yes. I mean, he actually went to Jamaica not to make music, but for a lifestyle, and then he's kind of fallen in love with the place. And then, you know, what he does is his own spin on reggae, but it sounds very unique.
It sounds unique. So, I need to have some unique proposition to my music. So, being an Asian from the East, I felt that nothing gets better than putting your elements, your sound. You know, there's so much. I mean, being Asian, I'm Indian, so you know the Indian culture is huge. You know, India itself is big, right? So I've got very strong influence in every song that I do. I make sure that I have an Asian touch in it, so that when it goes out, people will know to look at it or give their perception about the song. Oh, this is different. You know, or it doesn't sound like the reggae song that we listen to every day. Sure. You know, that's important. I still feel that I've got a lot more to do. So if you ask me about my whole Eastern influence reggae, I think it'll come to a point that I will lock it down. This is it. Okay. You know, it's like just how Apache Indian came out in the early days, right? It just kind of like locked down. He was like a benchmark, you know, and this is what it is. And so, I mean, he was also a big influence in my life. I mean, listening to him as a reggae artist, he kind of like he stormed Malaysia or even India, you know, with his brand of reggae music. So, of course, I mean, being Asian, of course, I will, of course, have my identity in my music.
I mean, in terms of the music that you released so far, you've released, I think, at least, 5 albums so far? 5 albums. Now, that's been sort of over a 17, 18-year period, right? What was it like the first time that you were actually compiling that very first album? What were you trying to achieve? Because obviously, as a new artist from Malaysia, obviously you said that you don't want to actually sort of like reinvent the wheel and sound like someone from Jamaica, but obviously there's those influences. What were you hoping to achieve back then?
I think when I was recording my first album, I was still a student.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in the university, and while studying, I recorded my first album. I think, if you ask me, I did not make my album because of fame. I mean, of course, it did add to my value in the university because everyone was like, wow, Sasi the Don has got an album out. And I was a batchmate with many of the students in university. And it was cool.
Okay.
You know, but at that point, to be honest, when I was creating my album, I did not think too much about conceptualizing the album. You know,
right, okay.
I just went with the flow. I felt that I was an infant who knew nothing about making music but wanted to make music. So for me, every time when I made one album to the other, I was just getting better and better and better, you know. And I worked on so many collaborations. Now the reasons why I made collaborations is not just about two artists coming together. There's a greater meaning to it. Every artist that I've collaborated with has got a personal touch in my life, in my journey, you know.
Right. Okay.
So in the whole process, I think finally on my 5th album, which was the Hello India album, I was like super glad because I felt that, you know, every song that if you listen to it, it kind of represents a statement from the title, you know, from the title to the way the music is produced, the arrangement, the lyrics, the way I mix Tamil and English. I've even done Hindi and English, you know. Of course, as an Asian, I try to sound as Asian as possible. But when you start writing, you know, to do your rap and stuff, I've got very strong. One of the elements of reggae that I'm totally influenced much with in every album that I put is the ragamuffin format, you know. And I think I'm in love with that because I grew up listening to Shabarangs and, you know.
Like you said, I mean, you know, that 90s era, you know, that generation was that sort of ragamuffin, the late 80s, early 90s. So, yeah, I can certainly see that in your music as well. Yeah.
I mean, of course, because it's like going to school, right? I mean, you get schooled about education, you go home, you get schooled about discipline, and then music schools you in a different way. To me, music was my best friend when I was a kid. You know, I felt that I didn't, in that time, in the 90s, you don't have computers, you don't have internet. There's no book that will give you information on anything you want to discover. Even if you went to the National Library to search a book for a question, it's not like having Google today, right? Go in Keen, you get in thousands of links showing you your answer. But in the time where I started, none of this were there. What gave me the strength or the confidence in here is the inlay of every artist.
Right.
Every cassette and CD that I bought, I read the inlay word to word. You know, from their fan club, their contact address, their websites, the lyrics, how they place track 1 to 10. You know, why is track 5 here and not there? And then I start comparing albums to other artists. I try to find the similarity, you know, because I'm an engineering student, so I love maths. So I do a lot of I always study. I understand psychology through numbers.
Right.
You know, so I realized that a lot of artists, especially reggae artists, song number 2, 5, track 10, 11 is always like the key tracks, you know. And I'm telling you, you can actually go and pick up any of your best CDs and you will actually realize that. And so I think all this schooling that I got from music, I understood the world. I realized that there was a country called Africa, there was a country called Sweden, there's Jamaica, you know. And at that time, when you're in school, I mean, like, where do I find a world map? Where's Jamaica? You know, nothing is just accessible, you know. Then you go to school, you go to the school library and pick out an atlas of the world, and then you go, wow, this is Jamaica, you know, like, wow, you know, that's where it is.
So it is, yeah.
And I think I was very naive from the time I started. I discovered everything in life through music, you know, the good and bad, and yeah, that's how you know I carry myself throughout the whole journey. Yep.
How supportive was your family with regards to your musical career?
My parents thought I was crazy, especially my mom. My dad, they thought I was. They thought, you know how my dad found out? And I was in class, and I was back from class, and I was staying in the hostel in the university, and eventually on that day I had an article in the newspaper. And a friend of my dad called my dad and said, "Your son is in the newspaper." I said, my dad panicked. Why? Like, what did he do? Is he in the front page? You know, like, you know, on some national news. No, he said his son is a musician. My dad got shocked.
Hold on. You were making music all this time, at that time, back then, and your family didn't know?
No, I recorded my entire first album and they didn't know.
Wow, that's a big secret to keep.
I had to because for them is, you know, it's like every family, you know, you got to go to school, college, university, finish the basics, and then you do whatever you want to do in life. Every parents tell you that. I mean, I'm sure that my parents would have kept to their words, but me, I've discovered so many things in life on my own, you know. If I wanted to go out and do something different, I need to create that adventure because nobody's going to create it for me, you know. And if I wanted to make something happen, I have to make it happen myself, because nobody's going to come knock on your door and say, you know what, I believe in you and I'm going to do this for you. Times like this will come where people knock on your door to help you. Like it happens for me today, but that happens because I have to prove myself, you know. And throughout the whole process I had to prove to my parents. You know, when my dad found out, he was very angry, and then when I explained to him, he just said that I'm crazy. Fine, you know, I had no problem with that. I love being crazy sometimes, and you know, and when you be crazy, you bring out the best of your creativeness.
Yeah.
So when he told me that, then I was fine. Okay, I don't talk to you for 6 months, but then after that we become friends again, and then you know what? Now my father is my #1 fan. He brags about me, you know. He brags about me to his friends. Sometimes when I've heard from people, you know, like they say, "Oh, I met your dad. And your dad's so proud of you, bro." You know, it's like saying Sasi the Don is this, that. I mean, it's good, you know. And but now I have my entire family who kind of like looks up to me. I think I come from a country that also appreciates what I do, you know. And it's what Apache Indian always used to say: reggae is not a simple genre where everyone is going to accept, you know. Of course, people listen to Bob Marley and this, but it's not the kind of music that you go and actually pick up, like how people go for Bruno Mars and Ed Sheeran and all that, you know. But that doesn't mean that reggae can't survive. So I kept it real with my music, you know. I never gave up, and of course here and there sometimes certain things limits you, but I pushed myself, and today I have not just my parents but my entire family. They all love what I do, you know, and so it's good.
It's good. Yeah. It's good. So we've got this new single, ABCD. Now, the timing of it, why now? Why in November? Okay,
because when I said that I started in July, Diwali was coming around the corner, you know, and I believe that Diwali is just not to be celebrated on a particular date. I believe that if you believe in yourself and you have a purpose to celebrate, you can celebrate anything every day.
Sure.
Okay, so when I worked on the track, from the title itself to the content of the message to the rhythm and the sounds and everything that I put together, it gives you that whole celebration vibe. So the song is not a 4/4 beat; it's a 6/8. You know, so it gives you that kind of. I mean, probably in urban music they call it trap, or probably something like drum and bass, kind of a rhythm. So, but
it's quite uplifting.
Yes, very uplifting. So, to me, I put that elements together, and I thought, how would this work? So they, as I said, there are Tamil-speaking people around the world, you know, and even like I think India has got a strong reggae movement.
Yeah.
Like friends of mine, like the Reggae Rajas, and they organize the Goa Sunsplash.
The Reggae Rajas, they're here at the moment.
Exactly, Raghav is here.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to meet him next week. Have you met him yet?
Not yet, but he's in my hometown tomorrow.
Right. Okay. Cool. And so, I mean, they all been big support.
Yeah.
So to me right now, before I go to, I mean, where I say that if I want to cross my music, cross over to the world, I would first need to establish my native first. You know, that is why when I decided to work with Anuradha Sriram, it all fell in place because I'm going down to the heart of India, South India, you know, the heart of Tamil language. So it was just perfect, and releasing it during this time was good because in Malaysia, I kind of like put the track out already. Why? Because I need to create story in my country first before I take it out. And then eventually, while that was happening, I had a great opportunity with Times Music India.
Okay.
You know, they approached me and they said, we love the track. So November 20th, they are actually going to release the song worldwide. And so you have it on all the streaming platforms, iTunes. You know, the video will be up on YouTube. So everything will be ready by next Tuesday.
Next week.
Yeah.
Okay. And this song ABCD, is it part of a bigger project? I hear that there's an album in the making.
Yeah. Well, ABCD, as I said, is just taking me back to basics. All right. I just wanted to find a way from where I got to all these years, and how I take myself back to where I started, but with 16 years of experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now, recording this new album, I'm actually working on an album called Timeless, and yeah, I've got some interesting tracks in it. And after this, my next song is called Daddy Don.
Okay.
So I would like to actually say a story about that song. I feel that for every kid, the mom and dad is important. You know, they both play their equal responsibility to bring up a child. And in today, around the world, people celebrate only the mothers most of the time. Nobody celebrates the daddies.
Okay.
So this song, Daddy Don, is just not about me being Sasi the Don, but every daddy is a Don on his own self. You know, you push the wrong buttons of a daddy, you see the Bruce Lee come out, no matter what, right? Because why? It's for the child that he loves. So the song is dedicated to all the good daddies around the world, and including daddies who are not here anymore, watching their kids from above. So it's got a very interesting angle to it. And see, it's like this song, I don't need to collaborate with anyone big, because the story itself and the title itself gives you that want to listen to it, right? So that will be my next track. And of course, I've got other songs coming in the picture. I'm planning some international collaborations, but I am not sure yet with whom, but everything is just in the talks and in the plans. Yeah. That's Timeless.
Something to look forward to for the viewers of World of Reggae. A message to everyone that's supported your music so far over the past 18 years and years to come as well.
Okay. To all those who have been listening to my music all these years, I have to say thank you so much. Thank you for making that effort to discover new music, you know. And I've got great fans, especially back home in my country, and I hope that I will have more fans around the world. Only reason being because I'm sharing my knowledge, I'm sharing my experience, I'm sharing my life through my music. You know, if people in my country believes in me, I'm sure by putting the right effort, more people around the world will believe in me. Just like how artists that I've collaborated with, when you work with a certain artist, it's just not about them and the song. You know, what comes with them.
Sure.
See, you know, like I work with Diana, I've worked with Tipa Irie. All these people that just come about to see what Sasi the Don doing is only because of the works that I've put in my music. You know, sometimes people wonder, like, how does this guy work with Apache Indian? How did he work with this and that? You know, but it's just that you need to put your effort. You know, if you believe in something, you dream up that you want to achieve it, you just have to go all out to make it happen. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Sasi the Don, we wish you every success with the forthcoming single, and we look forward to seeing you back in the UK as well, making more good quality music. I want to give a big shout out to your management crew and also to Music Media Management for making this link up possible. One love.
Of course. Thank you so much. And to everybody who's watching this on World of Reggae, I got to say, these guys are one of the best, and I've been a big fan of World of Reggae. I've learned a lot through their platforms in the last couple of years. Discovered new artists, fresh new names in the reggae music scene. Where I actually discovered through you guys, you know. And I think there's a lot more for reggae to do. Reggae is a great genre. It's full of love, and I think it's one of the best genres that actually easily connects people, especially artists. The people who are in the industry come together. Yeah. I want to tell you something, right? If you're doing rap music, or you're doing R&B or hip hop, I mean whatever it is. If I came from Malaysia, it's not going to be easy to connect with those internationally. No. But reggae, every reggae musician gives us a little space in their heart to listen to another reggae artist. Yeah. You know what I mean? They take time. You know, they said, "Oh, you do reggae. Wow, you know,
let me take a listen to it.
Let me listen to, you know, what you have, you know." And that's how I teamed up with a lot of people, you know, like Shaggy, Dinah King. When they all came to Malaysia, I take them out. Okay. You know, because of course I know the management. It's like a family. So you go to Kuala Lumpur, there's Sasi the Don. You go to Indonesia, there's Ras Muhammad. You go to Philippines, there's Bushman. Yeah. You know, so every country has the ambassadors. You go to India, there's Raghav and Reggae Rajas there. Yeah. So I think that's good, because when a reggae artist tours the world, they will always have a brother or a sister.
There's always a connection.
Exactly. Yeah. That's how it is. Cool. Bob Marley made that connection.
Yeah, but it's important that we as people continue that as well, isn't it?
Soldiers. Yeah. You know, he did not create. I can tell you straight, when Bob Marley was making music, he never knew that this was going to happen. You know? But whatever that he has created, his legacy, not just his children, but his influence through his music, the love for what it sounds like, his message, it has just taken over people's mind, you know? There are politicians, professors, doctors, engineers. Everybody quotes Bob Marley's, you know, quotes if they need to quote on something. And I think that's great, because end of the day, it's not about how educated you are, but it's how big your heart is. That's the most important thing. Yeah.
Sasi the Don, we give thanks once again. One love.
Thank you, one love. Thank you.